Yo, what's good? It's been a while. I'm a student, so I don't really regularly upload. Fuck, I forgot. I gotta use the microphone. But I don't normally upload because I'm a student. But I just took my finals, and so I'm gonna try my best to upload some more. I don't really care to be that regular. I do the booktube stuff kind of just for fun. And I don't really actually use this channel, which is probably terrible. Like I don't even watch YouTube on this channel. I just subscribe to like 2 people, and like 1 people see my video. But yeah, I guess I'll just recap what I've been doing recently. There's kind of like a book haul in here because I did buy a couple books, finished some for a class. Damn, I just saw a double chin. But yeah. So my cat's off to my right, or if you're watching it, I think it's your right off the screen, I think. My other one is on the floor, looking like he's hungry, but he's fine. He just acts like he's hungry. You'd think I never feed him. But yeah, so I've been doing this thing for the people who care. I've been doing this thing where I used to like buy and sell books a lot. I've slowed down a little bit. I sell books here and there, but by sell I just mean like use the Thrift Books buyback program. And you get like I'm not even joking. You get like 50 cents a book. Sometimes you get more though. One time I sold like this book that was Japanese translated to English, and it was like $8 or something. Like for me, I would get, and that's like a lot. Because if you know anything about the book industry, if you're not walking around with like a first edition signed copy, you're getting like, oh yeah, we'll give you like 50 cents. Which is kind of crazy because 50 cents is like the new penny, bars. But yeah, let's get right into it. I kind of just don't plan any of these videos, so I'm going to kind of just go into this. I usually use my iPhone to record, but I'm at my desk, and so I just was like, fuck it, I'll use a mic. I think I have to be pretty close to the mic, which is funny, but hey, it is what it is. I thought about just going on Audacity and kind of like recording the track, but I'm just going to do it all in one. So first off, you got, oh shit, there might be a bad glare. Hold on. Let me just do this. There we go. That might be better. First off, you got Elizabeth Bishop's Geography 3. This is a book of poetry. My poetry class, we kind of did my professor had a lecture about her. She grew up, I'm trying to think, I can't remember where she was born, but she stayed with her grandparents in Nova Scotia for a long time because her mother was put in a mental hospital. And I don't remember what happened to her dad. I kind of want to say he either ran from the family or killed himself. But I don't know which one. I'm probably wrong, and I probably shouldn't have said those heavy topics if I don't even know. So like loss is a big element of her poetry, and I've always enjoyed that because like whether you're a poetry person or not, you can read her poems, and there's a certain kind of precision she has with the descriptions that is like absolutely like almost kind of weird. Like I don't think she wrote her poems for people. By that I mean like you can read her poems about like a certain object, and she's just like the way she talks about the light hits it, or the way she talks about its like insides or how it looks. She uses descriptions and like sometimes compound words and stuff, and you're like, I have never, like, even if I try to think about that, it just doesn't, like, I can't. Like, I'm trying to think. There was one of her poems called Objects and Apparitions. Like, listen to this. hexahedrons of wood and glass, scarcely bigger than a shoebox, with room in them for nights and all its lights. Like, oh yeah, that's not that bad, right? Hexahedrons is a crazy word. But then she says, monuments to every moment, refuse of every moment used, cages for infinity. And then she says, memory unweaves the echoes in four corners of the box. Shadowless ladies play at hide and seek. That one's not too bad. Shadowless might mean like ghosts. The poem's called Objects and Apparitions, but then she goes, fire buried in the mirror, water sleeping in the agate, solos of Jenny Cologne, Jenny Lind. One has to commit a painting the way one commits a crime. I mean, and then there's just like, yeah, here's the one that I was like, what does this mean? She says, slot machine of visions, condensation flask for conversations, hotel of crickets and constellations. Like, that's really, like, that the sound work there is really cool. And maybe I'm a little bit dull, but there's a poem she did called The Fish too, where it's like she's describing like how the fish looks, and you're like, even if I sat here for 24 hours and did this, I would not think of it like she did. So that's what I really like about her, is you can read her poetry and she plays with meter, rhyme, all that stuff. But her way of words and descriptions, it kind of, I don't know how to, it gets down in almost like a, not spiritual level, but like she gets down like at its most raw, like most raw element. Like for her, something reflecting a light, my mirror reflects the light. Like, that's not enough. She's like, the rays of blah bounce off and blah, blah, blah. And it's like super, super cool. If you want to read one of her poems called The Fish is good. One Art's good. Sestina's good. Yeah, it's all dope. That's Geography 3, Elizabeth Bishop. I don't normally use this camera. Hopefully it's good. The next one is, I actually read, this is a big fat one. I actually read J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. I have completed Fellowship of the Ring. This is the first time I read any Lord of the Rings. I really enjoyed it. I've never seen the movies, and I am 27, so like I'm not so young that I didn't grow up with them. Like, they were around. People, I've heard Frodo Baggins, Bilbo Baggins, and Gandalf, and like I've heard that for so long growing up that I don't have an excuse to not watch it. So now I'm looking for a free 50 version of it online, if you know what I mean, where I can watch it and go, matey. That's a bad joke, and the government's probably coming after me. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it though. It can be, I like the way J.R.R. Tolkien writes. I don't want to say he kind of bloats his writing, but he definitely is, excuse me, he's definitely not plain. He sometimes, one sentence will be 2 or 3, 4 commas, semicolon, comma, and then it's, a lot of descriptions of hills, bluffs, rivers, and like words that I don't even remember. I should know this because I'm talking about it, but like those words, the way I watched a review one time of the Fellowship of the Ring, and the person that I'm referencing said it perfectly. They said there's certain words, like landscape words, like words like bluffs or cliffs, those type of words, nouns. Nouns. Yeah. There's certain nouns he uses for like landscapes that I like forget even exist. Not everything is a cliff, or not everything has to be a cliff. Not everything just has to be a river. It can be stream, like, I don't even know, stream. A mountain can be like a crag. Like he uses a lot of those words to describe landscapes, and he paints a really good picture of where they're at, Middle Earth, their journey. I wouldn't say it just blew me out of the water, but I do like the Lord of the Rings so far, and I definitely can understand why there's an element of there's so much love for this series, because it's so far, to me, it seems like it's a really big journey. There's a few small battles in the first Fellowship in the Fellowship of the Ring. I forget, like the one where they're like the chapter before the Mirror of Galathiel, or whatever his name is, whatever their name is. Sorry, and they're on their way to Mount Doom. That was really cool. But just like Frodo and Bilbo and Gandalf and Sam and I'm trying to think, what's the other ones? Lotharing. What's the other one? Arathorn, son of Aragorn, or vice versa. They're all pretty cool characters. I really like them. I can understand why J.R.R. Tolkien is so looked up to in the fantasy genre. I don't even actually read a lot of fantasy. Lately, I've been hearing a lot of like, oh, J.R.R. Tolkien's dated, but I don't know. Part of me feels like because there's not some crazy magic system, people say that, but I don't know. I guess I don't have much room to talk. But no, I really enjoyed this. I'm gonna read the Two Towers. I thought about reading the whole. I have one of those 3-in-1s. There's actually a flower drawing in here, but but I thought about reading the whole volume, kind of in one sitting, But I decided I want to take my time, because it's 27 years in the making for me to read this. So I want to read Fellowship of the Ring, maybe read a book or two, come back Two Towers, book or two, and then do The Return of the King. And then maybe go back and read The Hobbit, Silmarillion, kind of get immersed. Because it's all new to me. I actually need to buy another copy because this has water damage. You can't tell on this camera maybe, but hold on, But yeah, it's just kind of a beat up copy. I think my grandma got this from like a yard sale. Like it's just been around. And she was like, I think you might like this. Yeah, there's that one. The next book I read for class, it's an Arab American literature class, was Sarah Cypher's The Skin and Its Girl. Why is that? That glare is really bad for not a bright room. It's really cool. I will admit, when it comes to reading for class, I read kind of just like to get over with it, which is terrible, considering someone probably devoted years into this book. But no, this book is about a girl named Betty who's born with blue skin, and that's a reference to, I believe, a Palestinian folktale. And it's told from multiple point of views. Like there's like Betty, and there's third person, they refer to her as Betty. Then there's I, and I believe there's 2 different timelines. But I'll admit this was my least favorite book out of that, or least favorite book I read in that class, and I don't remember a lot of it, but this book does reference a lot of like Palestinian trauma, Palestinian trauma, displacement, how one may feel uncomfortable in their body and then comfortable in their body later on in life after some maturation, things along that line, nature. I don't know, I can't talk. But yeah, that's about it. I enjoyed it. Probably won't read it again. I might sell it on Goodreads. I don't know. Not Goodreads, thrift books. The next book I read for class, or for that same class, is, I'm going to get it close. This might kind of glare up, is The Map of Home by Randa Jarrar. I enjoyed this a little bit more than The Skin and Its Girl. I think it's a little bit more relatable to me. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone. Checking messages. Hold on. Looking at my phone. Just because it's a little bit more relatable, because it's actually about a girl named Nadali who wants to be a writer, and her journey in seeking that. Throughout the book, she's writing compositions, she's writing letters to herself, she's writing letters to other people that she doesn't send. She translates Tribe Called Quest lyrics into like kind of like old, antiquated, like into antiquated terms, like, you know, poetry you would have read 500,000 years ago. That's pretty funny. The book itself is really funny. There's a lot of body talk. It's kind of like the last book, Skin and Its Girl, where it talks about, it's very, very brash body talk. I mean, they say dick, balls, all that shit, even on the women's side of things. They say all that. And this book's about, oh, one thing about Nadali is she's constantly like getting reoriented and moving a lot. She's due to a lot of factors. Some I don't remember, but she's never had stability. And this book is a lot of calling for stability. What happens to you and your body actually when you're lacking stability. I actually had to write a paper on this book. In terms of like, I actually had to compare the two, the Skin and Its Girl and A Map of Home, and their similarities and differences. You can read that if you want. It's in the ether somewhere. It's not the greatest, but yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed both those books for class. I did read them kind of in a different lens. Like academic reading me and then reading for fun me is kind of different. But I did enjoy those two books. There's a lot to learn. As a white dude, I don't know shit. So you got to read books like that sometimes. My cat's over here sleeping. The next book I'm going to read, this is my total like pretentious, I'm going to like flex on you read, but I don't actually mean it. Let me see. It's not really, it's the Iliad by Homer. What's the best angle to put these books at? Yeah, the Iliad by Homer. This is actually it's like an epic poem kind of thing. This whole thing is like almost 600 pages. It doesn't really look like it, but it's like, you know how Penguin is. Penguin's weird because a lot of these like Penguin classics don't look super thick, but then you get them and it's like 700 pages. So, yeah, typical like Greek thing that people read sometimes, Homer, Iliad. Then I'll probably read Odyssey. The Iliad comes before the Odyssey. I haven't even opened this book and there's already scuff marks all over it. The translation that Penguin uses is the Robert Fagles translation. Let me see. I was going to read about him. Whatever. But yeah, I don't actually know much about ancient Greek texts and things of that nature. I was going to read Homer. I want to read this Odyssey. I also want to read this isn't necessarily like in the same vein, but I want to read, I mean it is but it isn't, but I want to read some Plutarch, the fall of the Roman Empire and all that shit, and then also do like the lives of something, his lives, yeah. But yeah, this is probably my next read. Focus on that. Yeah. This is the point where this is like a tiny little book haul, if that's your thing. Let me see what I got down here. So I went to the local bookstore and I bought this book, trying to be cool. Let me see if I can get the glare down. Race, Class, and Party, A History of Suffrage and White Politics in the South. It's pretty self-explanatory what that's about. I like to go to the bookstore, and I used to have a Goodreads, but I have a Thrift Books account where I use like the wish list feature, but I very rarely buy from the wish list feature. I use it as like a frame of reference. Like think about bowling, the guardrails, the bumpers. I like to use, this is probably a dumb idea, but I like to use lists as like those bumpers. Like they kind of like, you can kind of fall back on a book you've had on your wish list if you want. You can say, oh, I don't know what I want to buy from the bookstore. Here's George Orwell's 1984 on my wish list. You can buy that. If you're just kind of spending money for the sake of spending money, which I did win a poetry I got third place. Oh, let me not lie. I got a $20 Amazon gift card, and I've been kind of on this fantasy kick recently. So there's a mass market paperback set of Brandon Sanderson's first 3 books in the Stormlight archive, and it's like $25. and I'll pay like $5 in shipping out of my pocket for 3 books, and it's like 3,000 plus pages. I kind of want something where I can like, I've read a lot of standalones in my life, but I was thinking about for my next project, kind of diving in deep and like getting like a sci-fi or a fantasy series and like not even care how long it is. Like it could be 10 books long, Wheel of Time type shit, and just like read all of it. That way I can say like, yeah, like I've read all of blank, like whether or not I enjoy it. Cause I feel like part of me wants like that long haul. But yeah, let me see. But yeah, I don't know much about this guy. I was going to say, this is what I was going to say. And then I got distracted, by myself. Oh, there's my cat. No, I like to go in blind. Like I use the thrift books wish list as a reference, but I like to go into my used bookstore around me, or the book. It's not mine, but the used bookstore around me. And I just walk. I would literally walk around, and like if I see a book that's like race class parody, or a book with I've literally bought a book before because of the cover was just like something about the colors popped out at me, and then the name. Like the book that I'm about to show next, I bought it based off of a recommendation from a YouTuber I like, but the name is cool too. Like it just has a cool ring to it. And I suggest next time you go to a bookstore, break your little code if you have one. Like literally, just like if you see a book that's like, that's a cool title, that sounds nice, or that sounds legit, that sounds pretty cool, pimping. Like, oh, like I read, or if like I've had books like this where I read the title like in passing, and then like that book title sticks in my head. Like, go buy that shit. You might like it better than a book you just have zero interest in. Next book that I don't know a little bit about, but the YouTuber Casey is reading, which she'll probably never see this, but she recommended not to me, but to the ether, the book In the Heart of the Country by J.M. Coates. I don't even know. I'm not even going to try. It's a Penguin Classic, winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. I don't know much about this book. Once again, I kind of go in blind for a reason. He's from South Africa, so if you want to check off your box for diversity, that might have sounded terrible. But if you want to like read widely, like on the globe widely, yeah, I guess I'll read the back a little bit. It says, fierce and passionate novel watches the life from which she has been excluded. Ignored by her callous father, scorned by his servants, she is a bitterly intelligent woman whose outward meekness disguises a desperate resolve to not become one of the forgotten ones of history. There's more, but I'm not reading that all. I'm not reading all that. I like to go in kind of blind. Another book I got, it's like an anthology, but this is a really fucking cool cover. Sorry for cussing, but it is Words in the Blood by Jamake Highwater. That's probably a butchering. It is a contemporary, it's an anthology, or it's a collection. Anthology, I think, is the wrong word. It's a collection of contemporary Indian writers of North and South America. It is an old book, so this means Native American. Don't cancel me. I just read that. But yeah, I'm excited. Like Native American history, there's a class I need to take. Part of my degree plan. It's like Native American oral history, oral tradition. And there's a guy that's a member of the Cherokee Nation that teaches at my college. And I took a class with him a semester ago, and I don't have a relationship with him, but he was one of my favorite professors. That's a story. But he's one of those old fashioned professors where he's not even that old. He's like 50 something, but he's like, no computers, no phones. Like you write everything on paper with your pencil, Scantron, blue books, green books, whatever they're called. Like you do everything by hand. Like I want everything written with your handwriting. You do not touch a single laptop phone. Like don't turn anything in electronically. It's really jarring. And I was like, what the fuck? Like of course, this dude who went to like Cornell is like this. Like he's kind of, abrasive. But then he ended up being like probably my favorite professor of that semester. Just the fact that like you need those kind of teachers who are like, I'm not taking your bullshit. Like I know it's 2025, but like do the fucking work. Like don't bullshit around on Chat GPT. Don't. And he was cool. Like we had writing assignments, but he didn't really give a rubric. He was like, oh, just write whatever, pick a topic and then write about it. And what's crazy to me is this is probably a hot take. But what's crazy to me is I've never had that much of a problem with teachers not having like super strict rubrics. But people, if I'm in a class with people that are a little bit younger than me, like 20, 21 and younger sometimes, they're like, what do I need to write about? How should I write about it? What kind of structure do you want? And I'm like, if the dude says just pick the topic that you want and write about it, like the goal is to convince him that you know what you're talking about. At the bare minimum, like just do that. It weirds me out when people are like, they ask about like what the professor wants, how they want the paper worded. What kind of structure should I like? I think sometimes you just need to write and it'll come out. Like granted, if you're writing like a thesis statement for like getting a PhD or some shit, yeah, there's a structure. There has to be. That's just the nature of things. Why did my camera go blurry? Is it not going to focus again? This is bad. There we go. Like there's a structure behind it. There's a balance, But when it's a creative writing program you're in, I don't want to sound like the old man yelling at clouds, but it's creative writing. It's not technical writing. It can be in a way, but you're not writing as if someone's going to kill you. You're not writing as if your professor is going to be, oh, you forgot this one word. Okay, that's like a F instead of an A. Like when you take creative writing classes, your grades, it looks like you're failing because it's just 0 out of 0 out of 0 out of 0 because there's not a grade. You can't, in my opinion, you can't really grade creativity. It's just something works for you or it doesn't. So I don't know. That was a really long tangent. I'm sorry. This video is already 27 minutes long for the one person that's going to watch it. But no, it's just, it's aggravating sometimes because you're just like, you're a writer. Like just write. Don't worry about the technicalities. Like literally it'll fix itself or I don't know the term for this anymore, but you write and then it'll just get out of you. It'll just come out. Yeah. That's about it. Oh yeah, another book haul. Sorry, I almost forgot one. This is a really cool one. This is a Western. You might have heard of it if that's your thing. Yeah, this is Warlock by Oakley Hall. I've actually, funny enough, this book cover is really fucking cool too. Hold on. Like, I don't know. I need to look up that painting. Yeah. If you're into like Westerns, you might like this one. It's a little, I don't want to say it's slow, but this one is more, I hate using this word because I feel like it makes me sound like I'm trying to be like, oh, I'm on a pedestal. But this one is more, Warlock is more literary. And there's been a lot more care put into the prose versus someone like perhaps Louis L'Amour. Or like William Johnston. It's and what's kind of hilarious about this book is I've read it. I checked it out from the library, didn't finish it. I bought a mass market paperback edition, didn't finish it. But something about this book, it's not even a quality thing. I feel like it's been like times in my life where, the mass market paperback edition, I read it when I first started at this new college. And so I just didn't have time for it. But yeah, this book, from what it's about, it's kind of it's about a town named Warlock. The town sheriff has died. They're looking for another one. That's not really a spoiler, but they get one, and is he or is he not what they need him to be? That's kind of the story. There's some politics involved. There's like there's a mining company or like a mine that people work in and survive off of, and it gets political with the mine. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh yeah, I also read, this video is really fucking long, I'm sorry. I also read Old Jules by Mary Sandoz. This is a cool book. It's actually a nonfiction book about a guy named Old Jules Sandoz, who grew up on the plains of Nebraska, near something called the Niobrara. Not exactly sure. I shouldn't remember. I'm not exactly sure where his homestead was in terms of like if it's a town or nothing, but yeah. So it's a life. It's a recap of Jules' life from like the late 1800s. I think he immigrated from. Oh shit! I should know this. He immigrated from Europe over to Nebraska in 1886, I believe. And just like he started from nothing and then built up like a homestead and almost kind of built a little town. He ended up establishing his own post office, and it got taken from him. And then I think he established another one later. And then he established like orchards and things of that nature out on his land. And he was kind of a shit person, actually. He's just typical, like he's dirty. He doesn't shower. He doesn't bathe. He wears the same clothes, smokes tobacco all the time, which, I mean, if you smoke tobacco, fine. But my cat is crazy looking. And he, like, beats an infant for crying. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, his daughter that's writing the book, I'm pretty sure is the one he was, like, hitting on when she was crying. And then he, like, tells his wife, like, oh, don't tell me what to do. Like, a woman ain't good for nothing. All a woman's good for is like sitting on my face and shit like that. It's a good book, but I don't condone the activities that he did. He's, like I said, he's not a very good father, and I don't think that should mess with the rating of the book. Like, know what you're getting into. I guess trigger warning, family trauma, but no, I really enjoyed it. The prose style is like pretty. There's a lot of like nature descriptions, the rolling hills or the flats and stuff like that. Some of it's like plain. Sometimes Mari is like this. She just kind of tells it to you. Sometimes she shows it. And this book definitely made me like sit there and think. Like, obviously, it's not 1800s. It's not the 1900s anymore. But as someone who grew up around grandparents that have chickens and all that, I was like, I could just buy some land one day and like still kind of just do that thing, make it your own, like become a farmer. People might call me fucking crazy. I actually know some people who were like, we don't farm anymore in America because we're killing ourselves. And I get it, but like there's still shit for it. Like, you still got to do it. Yeah, really enjoyable book. Out of this whole stack of like haul or reading, I just realized this is not a book haul. I just read this book. But out of this whole stack of books, probably the favorite one I've read is Old Jules. Lord of the Rings second, probably. Trying to think if there's anything else. I read The Diary of a Man in Despair by Friedrich Reck. A guy that was he lived in Germany during the Nazi regime and the upcoming of the Nazi regime. Really intense book. It's literally written, it's his journal that he had to like dig a hole and hide his journal because of Nazi regime. And it's an NYRB classic. So you probably know what it looks like. I don't want to go get it right now, but it's over there. But no, I recommend it if you're into World War II. Like, don't even really look up much about it. Just like thrift books, Amazon it, whatever you need to do. And that's it. I also read. Faked you out. I also read Confessions of a Mask by Yukio Mishima. This book is bound by duct tape. I bought this book a long time ago. and I finally read it. It's literally falling apart, and I kind of like how it's falling apart. Like I totally should buy another one, but I don't care. Yeah, it's kind of like what's it called, an I novel from a guy. It's like autobiographical in a sense. It's talking about a kid who he really likes. He finds out that he's gay, and he's in Japan's hypermasculine society at the time, and he can't reveal it. So then he kind of seeks, like, what is it like to love a woman? What is it like to be aroused by a woman? To the point where he kind of becomes self-aware that he doesn't get aroused by women in certain ways. He's like, oh, is this what it feels like whenever this happens? I haven't experienced it. It's a very well written book. Like Yukio Mishima has a very interesting history. I don't make judgments on him. I think I've heard some people say he's just crazy, but I mean, I don't know, he might be, but I know he tried to stage a coup and then he committed seppuku, like did the little thing. He was, in the book, he was really sick a lot. I think he had a bout with tuberculosis and got diagnosed with coughs all the time. I know there's like this, there's a lot of other books by him, and I'd recommend reading some of his books. I forget what it's like the 4-book, what's the word? No, I almost said quadrilogy, but I don't think that's it. No, but I think that is actually it, and my camera's not focused again. Let me do this. Hold on. Isn't that like the trick? You like put your hand, let it focus on you. I don't know. I'm crazy. But yeah, that's it. I know it's been a long time, and this video is way too long for like the one person who's gonna watch it. But yeah, thanks for watching.